Hey everyone. This lesson is going to be about playing notes on the G string. The end goal of our lesson is to be able to play line 98 in our book, the G major scale. Now, the good news about learning how to play the G major scale is you already know how to do most of it. All of this here is actually the bottom four notes of a D major scale, D, E, F sharp, G, which just leaves us with the bottom four notes that we're going to need to learn on our G string. So let's get started. I've shown you the note guide before. It's in your virtual music folder. And we talked about it just in reference to the notes that we already know. Now I'm going to cross some things off here because we haven't yet learned this note or this note. Those are coming soon. But we have learned these other four notes on our A string. These four notes, or five notes, we've learned fourth finger, and learned these notes on our D string. Our job today is to learn how to play the first four notes on our G string. That's for the violin, for the viola, and for the cello. Those four notes there. Now, learning how to actually play the notes is going to be pretty easy for us. The challenge is going to be, for most of us, is going to be learning how to read the notes because we're just not used to seeing notes that are in that part of the staff yet. So let me go through how we're going to finger the notes in each of the instruments. On the violin, low G, two ledger lines down and below, there's our low G, that's our open G string. Two ledger line downs, one line, that's our A, and that's going to be our first finger on our first tape. It's a lot like playing an E or B on these other strings. One ledger line with a note below it, that's a B. Second finger on our G string on our second tape. So I know it doesn't say so on the note guide, but you guys, most of you have a tape right here. And then third finger on our third tape gets a C, which is on the first ledger line below the staff. So the number of ledger lines is very, very important here and where the note is in relation to them. The C is on the first ledger line. The B is below the first ledger line. The A is on the second ledger line, and the G is below the second ledger line. For the viola, reading those notes, we have our open G. It's the bottom space of the staff. First finger on the first tape gives us an A, and that's the first line of the staff. Our second finger on our second tape, just like the violins, you guys have a tape here on your instruments. Second finger on the second tape gets us a B, which is the second space of the staff. And third finger on the third tape gets us a C, which is in the middle line of the C clef staff. As it turns out, the C clef, this arrow right here, points to that middle line, telling us that anything on the middle line is always going to be a C. For the cellos, our G string is the bottom line of the staff. First finger A is the bottom space of the staff. Third finger on our second tape. So third finger on that tape gets us the B, and then fourth finger on our third tape gets us a C, which is in the bottom space of the staff. Let me show you what that looks like on a violin and on a cello. On my violin, you know what the open string looks like. First finger A, second finger B, and third finger C. It's really important that when we're playing with the instrument on the string that we're able to reach far enough with our fingers and still have our fingers with this boxy shape pointing straight down at this fingerboard. If our wrist gets flattened like this when we're playing, it's hard to be accurate about where our finger is, and sometimes hard to reach far enough. If our wrist is straight, our fingers can curve and be down. It's really important when we have the instrument in playing position, our left elbow is far enough to our right so that our fingers are able to have the correct shape. If our elbows too far to our left, it puts us in a really strange place and having to flatten our fingers to reach far enough. And we don't want our fingers flat, we want them arched and pointing down into the string. This is true for both the violin and the violas, although for the violins, your G string is as far as you can reach, and your G string violas is the second string here. On the cello, as with any string, it's important that we've got our fingers spread out and pointing straight down into the fingerboard. If our hand is crunched up like this and our fingers start to bend backwards, it's hard to get them in the right place and hard to get them spread out enough. So we always want to have this tunnel in here between the palm of our hand and the instrument, and our fingers are pointing straight down into the fingerboard. My thumb should be opposite my second finger. Then I'm able to reach my fingers far enough to reach the tapes and to have them curved so they're pointing straight down into the string. Open G, first finger A, third finger B, fourth finger C.